silent battles, heavy crowns. The ones set apart often walk through the darkest valleys alone. They are called the chosen, a title that sounds divine, even heroic. But few see what it costs. Behind every chosen one is a story of pain, pressure, and piercing isolation. Not the kind you read in books or hear in sermons, but the real, raw weight of carrying a calling that no one else understands. They don't ask to be chosen, but once marked, there's no turning back. In this video, we'll journey through the hidden struggles faced by those the world calls favored. From spiritual conflict that shakes the soul, to emotional burdens that never find words, to years of divine silence that feel like abandonment. You'll learn why those chosen for great purpose are often placed in seasons of deep suffering, and how those seasons are not punishment but preparation. Stay with me, because we're not only exposing these struggles, we're revealing why they exist. Most people only see the power, the platform, the blessing. Few talk about the crushing weight behind it, the cost of being called, the warfare in the waiting, the silent tears of those who carry gifts they never asked for. I'll walk you through rare insights that don't come from motivational speeches, but from ancient texts, real stories, and patterns repeated across generations. You'll hear why loneliness surrounds greatness, why rejection often precedes favor, and why suffering isn't a sign of weakness. It's often proof of the assignment. This message isn't just for those who know they're chosen. It's for the ones questioning why life feels so heavy, why doors close when they should open, why you feel pulled apart between what's inside you and what surrounds you. So if you've ever felt misunderstood, overlooked, or overwhelmed by a path you didn't choose but can't seem to leave, this message is for you. Watch until the end, because by the time we're done, you won't just understand the pain, you'll understand the purpose behind it. Welcome to Dr. Myles Reveals. If you're drawn to deep truths, spiritual insight, and the wisdom behind divine design, subscribe now. Your journey is just beginning. Marked lives, unusual paths. Throughout history, there have always been those who stand apart, not because they seek glory, but because something greater calls them. These are the ones we call the chosen. Being chosen isn't about privilege or fame. It's about purpose. It's the idea that certain people are handpicked for a mission bigger than themselves, a destiny that shapes every step of their lives. They are set apart, often misunderstood, and placed on roads that demand courage, sacrifice, and unwavering faith. Across spiritual traditions, this concept appears again and again. In the Bible, we see prophets like Moses, a man who once doubted himself, but was called to lead an entire nation out of bondage. Then there's Jesus, the ultimate example of the chosen one, marked not for comfort, but for a life of service, suffering, and redemption. These stories aren't just ancient tales, they are patterns. They reveal how those chosen often face challenges far beyond the ordinary. In other cultures, the theme remains, from legendary heroes who rise against impossible odds, to wise leaders believed to be guided by divine hands. The chosen are always those who bear the heaviest responsibility. They are vessels of change, carrying truths that others may resist or reject. Dr. Myles reveals, being chosen often comes with a life that feels different, sometimes painfully so. There's an unseen weight, a calling that won't let you rest, and a constant pull towards something you cannot yet fully see. This isn't about luck or chance. It's about being set apart for a reason, even if that reason takes years to understand. Greatness rarely walks hand in hand with comfort. Those set apart often carry an invisible weight, one the world rarely sees, but deeply shapes their soul. Chosen ones suffer not because they are weak, but because they feel more. The gift that sets them apart also opens their heart wider. They don't just see pain, they absorb it. In a room full of smiles, they sense the sorrow behind the eyes. In a crowd, they hear the silent cries no one speaks. This level of sensitivity isn't trained, it's built into their design. But with that sensitivity comes isolation. When you feel more, think deeper, and see beyond the surface, it becomes harder to connect in shallow waters. Conversations feel empty. Relationships grow strained. Most people don't understand the inner storms, so the chosen often walk through life with a mask, smiling outside while wrestling within. And this is the paradox. They are admired, even envied, yet profoundly alone. People see their strength but miss the sorrow. They are the ones others come to for guidance, for healing, for light, yet they themselves often sit in silence with no one to call. Their awareness becomes both a gift and a burden. It drives them toward their mission, but distances them from the crowd. It's not punishment, it's preparation, but that doesn't make the suffering feel any less real. The path of the chosen is filled with moments of doubt, internal conflict, and the silent ache of carrying purpose without applause. And yet they keep going. Not because it's easy, but because something greater compels them to. This is the unseen cost of the calling. And if this speaks to you, you're not alone. This is Dr. Myles Reveals. The spotlight often blinds people from seeing the shadow it casts. For the chosen, the greatest struggle isn't always external. It's the weight they carry inside. A big mission sounds noble, inspiring, but the reality is much heavier. When someone is chosen, they don't just step into a role. They step into a responsibility that demands their full self. Every move, every word, every decision feels loaded. There's a sense that they're not just living for themselves, but for something or someone greater. This burden doesn't always come with clear instructions. It's not a job you can clock out of. It's not a task with a deadline. It's a lifelong calling that whispers day and night, pushing them to give more, be more, carry more. And often it comes without applause. The pressure to live up to the expectations of people, of purpose, of God, can feel suffocating. They're expected to lead without stumbling, to speak with wisdom, to act without fear. And when they falter, they aren't just criticized, they're questioned. How could someone like you mess up? Even their own inner voice turns against them. Self-doubt creeps in. Am I enough? What if I fail? What if I wasn't truly chosen? The chosen often don't have the luxury of mediocrity. The world demands excellence from them, while rarely offering the grace to be human. That pressure builds over time. It isolates. It wears them down. It causes them to carry burdens silently, hiding the cracks behind polished smiles. Dr. Myles reveals, the burden isn't always seen by others, but it's always felt by the one chosen. And yet they keep showing up, keep pressing forward, not because they want the glory, but because deep down, they know quitting isn't an option. They're surrounded by people, yet feel completely alone. That's one of the quietest struggles of the chosen. Being set apart often means being set aside. Their thoughts go deeper, their emotions hit harder, and their sense of purpose separates them from the crowd. While others are laughing, scrolling, and chasing comfort, the chosen are thinking about legacy, truth, and what's next. That difference creates distance. They're not better than others, but they are wired differently. And that difference can feel like exile. It's hard to find someone who truly understands. Most people see the surface, the confidence, the strength, the clarity, but they don't see the nights filled with silence, the internal wrestling, the longing to connect with someone who simply gets it. Someone who understands the weight without asking for an explanation. Relationships become complicated. Conversations feel shallow. It's not that they don't love people. They often love deeply. But the chosen find it hard to fully open up. Who can they talk to about visions they haven't seen yet? About dreams too bold to share? About battles that are spiritual, emotional, invisible? So they learn to keep things in. They smile when they're breaking. They lead when they feel lost. They listen to others while their own heart is screaming. Because somewhere along the way they started believing that no one would understand. And in many cases they're right. Dr. Myles reveals, this isolation isn't just a side effect. It's often part of the path. When you're chosen, you're called to rise in places where others haven't been. That means walking roads few can travel. And sometimes, walking them alone. No one sees the war inside. But for the chosen, it never stops. There's a constant pull between what the spirit knows and what the flesh craves. Between purpose and temptation. Between obedience and desire. And this battle isn't loud. It's quiet. Hidden behind disciplined routines, calm faces, and spiritual language. But deep down, there's a fight that never fully ends. The chosen often face stronger temptations, not because they're weaker, but because their assignment is greater. Darkness doesn't waste energy attacking someone going nowhere. But those marked for purpose, they're prime targets. The enemy knows that if he can't destroy them, he can distract them, weaken their focus, shake their identity, cloud their clarity. Even unspoken struggles like lust, anger, fear, and deep-rooted doubt creep in. They don't talk about it. Because how can someone called by God wrestle with something so human? But that's the very tension of being chosen. Divine purpose in a flawed vessel. They pray with fire, but still feel weak inside. They pour into others, but secretly wonder if they're empty. They hear from God, but still question if they're truly worthy. That duality can feel unbearable. One side says you're anointed. The other whispers, you're not enough. And yet that struggle is not a sign of failure. It's evidence of the fight. Only those walking toward the light feel the weight of the darkness trying to pull them back. Dr. Myles reveals, the greatest battles don't happen on stages or in crowds. They happen in silence, in the heart of the chosen. And even though no one sees it, it's in those moments the real strength is forged. There's a pain that doesn't show up in x-rays. A weight that can't be measured by how much you carry, but by how long you've carried it in silence. Chosen ones feel it more than most, not because they're weaker, but because they're tuned into a different frequency, one the world rarely notices. Sometimes, it's not about what they're doing, it's about what they're holding back, the words they don't say, the emotions they hide, the pressure they pretend doesn't exist. They're the strong ones, the dependable ones, the ones people lean on when things fall apart. But who do they lean on? This quiet suffering builds slowly. A word left unspoken, a prayer unanswered, a dream delayed. It turns into questions that never leave. Why me? Why now? How long will this last? Their hearts are full of purpose, but their hands are tied by circumstances. Their spirits are ready, but their flesh is tired. Some days, they want to run. Others, they want to break, but they don't.
They keep showing up because something in them refuses to quit, even when everything else says give up. And while the world applauds visible strength, they're fighting battles no one sees. Battles in the mind, in the soul, in the unseen places where destiny is either forged or lost. Dr. Myles reveals, there are no medals for surviving seasons like this. No audience watching the war inside. But that doesn't make it any less real. In fact, it makes it even more sacred. Because it's in these hidden battles, in these silent moments of pain, that the chosen are shaped, not for comfort, but for calling. Chosen ones rarely face opposition from strangers first. It usually starts at home. The moment someone begins to walk in a calling that looks different, sounds different, or feels bigger than what others expect, resistance rises, not because they're wrong, but because they don't fit the mold. Family questions them. Friends distance themselves. Society labels them. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's the silence, the disbelief in their vision, the subtle mockery behind their passion, the rejection hidden inside a smile. People fear what they don't understand, and the chosen are not always meant to be understood. Their path is unfamiliar. Their decisions don't make sense to the average mind. They say no when others say yes. They walk away from comfort to chase conviction. That kind of obedience looks strange, and strange always attracts criticism. Even in Scripture, the pattern is clear. David was anointed as king, but he was hunted by Saul, not an outsider, his own king. Jesus performed miracles, spoke truth, walked in love, and was still betrayed by one of his own, and rejected by many. Their greatness didn't shield them from resistance. It exposed it. Opposition isn't proof that you're off track. Often it's confirmation you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The higher the calling, the greater the pressure. And that pressure usually shows up through people closest to you. They'll question your motives, misread your silence, twist your actions. Some will be threatened by what you carry, even if you haven't fully stepped into it yet. And the hardest part, you'll still love them. Dr. Myles reveals, the path of the chosen doesn't just come with purpose, it comes with conflict. But it's in that very resistance that your true strength begins to rise. Pressure never feels good in the moment, but it's the only way diamonds are made. The same is true for those who are chosen. Their struggles aren't random. They're targeted, designed to test what's inside of them, not to break them, but to build them. Every calling comes with a cost. Before purpose is fulfilled, it must be proven. When that proving happens in seasons of testing, moments when everything feels wrong, when prayers go unanswered, and when silence feels louder than the voice of God. These moments don't cancel the calling, they confirm it. Look at anyone chosen for greatness, and you'll find a season of hardship behind the scenes. David was anointed king, but sent back to the field, then chased into caves. Joseph had dreams of ruling, but first came the pit, the betrayal, the prison. Even Jesus, before stepping into public ministry, was tested in the wilderness. These tests aren't punishment, they're preparation. They build endurance, they shape humility. They strip away pride and purify motive. When everything is taken away and the calling still burns, that's when it becomes real. That's when purpose becomes identity. Not just something you do, but who you are. The chosen don't just walk into destiny, they're refined into it. Through fire, through failure, through tears that no one sees. Every delay, every closed door, every moment of confusion is doing something in them, strengthening their core, deepening their roots, making sure they're not just ready to carry the promise, but able to sustain it. Dr. Myles reveals, the weight you feel isn't just suffering, it's shaping. And while the test may feel like the end, it's actually the process that prepares you for the beginning. Because purpose that lasts must first be tested. Even the strongest vessels crack if they're never refilled. Chosen ones often forget that they're still human, wired for connection, healing, and rest. The calling may be divine, but the body and mind carrying it still bleed, still ache, still break. Too many believe they have to carry it all alone. They isolate, thinking no one will understand the weight. They give endlessly, pour into others, but rarely make time to be poured into. Over time, they don't just feel tired, they feel empty, lost in the very purpose they were once passionate about. But even the chosen need help. They need community. Not just people to preach to, but people to sit with. People who see them beyond the gift, beyond the calling. They need mentors who can speak life into them. Spiritual voices that offer wisdom, not just praise. And they need tools, real, practical support to navigate the emotional and spiritual storms. Self-care isn't weakness, it's stewardship. Taking time to rest, to unplug, to process pain. That's not a distraction from purpose, that's part of sustaining it. The chosen often carry emotional wounds that never fully healed, because they were taught to press on. But healing doesn't happen by ignoring pain. It happens by facing it, by allowing space for grief, for restoration, for peace. Dr. Myles reveals, even the most powerful callings require rest. The strength to continue comes not from doing more, but from doing the inner work. Balance isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Because when the vessel is whole, the purpose flows freely. When the heart is healed, the mission becomes more than a burden, it becomes a blessing. Behind every spotlight is a shadow. Behind every chosen one is a soul that has been tested, pressed, and stretched in silence. What looks like favor on the outside is often built on nights of weeping, battles no one saw, and a heart that never gave up, no matter how heavy the weight became. Chosen doesn't mean perfect, it means set apart for a purpose. But that purpose often comes wrapped in pain. If anything in this message spoke to you, if you felt the loneliness, the pressure, the inner war, know this, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are being shaped. The glory others see is only part of the story. The real beauty lies in the vulnerability, the endurance, and the quiet strength it takes to keep walking, even when the road feels endless. Take a moment, pause, reflect on where you are and what you've been carrying. You weren't meant to do it all alone. Reach out for support, whether that's community, mentorship, or time in stillness with God. Healing begins when you give yourself permission to stop hiding the struggle. If this message helped you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Dr. Myles reveals. Here we speak truth, reveal hidden wisdom, and walk with you through every season of the calling. You're not just watching, you're growing. Your purpose is still alive. Keep growing.